Chapter 9, Deuteronomy. Hear, O Yasharel, you are passing over the Yarden today to go in to dispossess nations greater and stronger than yourself, cities great and walled up to the Shamayim, a people great and tall, the descendants of the Anakim, whom you know and of whom you heard it said, who stands before the descendants of Anak. And you shall know today that Yahweh your Elohim is he who is passing over before you as a consuming fire. He destroys them and subdues them before you. So you shall dispossess them and destroy them quickly, as Yahweh has said to you. Do not think in your heart, after Yahweh your Elohim has driven them out before you, saying, because of my righteousness, Yahweh has brought me in to possess this land. But it is because of the wickedness of these nations that Yahweh is driving them out before you. It is not because of your righteousness or your uprightness of your heart that you go in to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of these nations that Yahweh your Elohim drives them out from before you, in order to establish the word which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov. And you shall know that Yahweh your Elohim is not giving you this good land to possess because of your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people. Remember, do not forget how you provoked to wrath Yahweh your Elohim in the wilderness. From the day that you came out of the land of Mizraim until you came to this place, and you have been rebellious against Yahweh. Even in Harab, you made Yahweh wroth, so that Yahweh was enraged with you to destroy you. When I went up into the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant which Yahweh made with you, then I stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I did not eat bread, nor did I drink water. Then Yahweh gave me the 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of Elohim, and on them were all the words which Yahweh had spoken to you on the mountain from the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to be at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant. Then Yahweh said to me, arise, go down quickly from here, for your people whom you brought out of Mizraim have acted corruptly. They have quickly turned aside from the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded image. And Yahweh spoke to me, saying, I have seen this people, and look, they are stiff-necked people. Leave me alone, so that I destroy them and blot out their name from under the Shamayim, and make of you a nation stronger and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire, and the 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I looked and saw that you had sinned against Yahweh your Elohim, and had made for yourselves a molded calf. You had quickly turned aside from the way which Yahweh had commanded you. And I took the 2 tablets and threw them out of my 2 hands and broke them before your eyes. And I fell down before Yahweh. As at the first 40 days and 40 nights, I did not eat bread and I did not drink water because of all your sins which you committed in doing evil in the eyes of Yahweh to provoke him. For I was afraid of the displeasure and rage with which Yahweh was wroth with you, to destroy you. But Yahweh listened to me that time once more. And Yahweh was very enraged with Aharon to destroy him, so I prayed for Aharon at that time also. And I took your sin, the calf which you had made, and burned it with fire, and crushed it, and ground it very small, until it was as fine as dust. And I threw its dust into the stream that came down from the mountain. And at Taberah, and at Massah, and at Kibrot Hata'awah, you made Yahweh wroth. And when Yahweh sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and possess the land which I have given you, then you rebelled against the word of Yahweh your Elohim, and you neither trusted him nor listened to his voice. You have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I knew you. So I fell down before Yahweh the 40 days and 40 nights, for I fell down because Yahweh had said he would destroy you. And I prayed to Yahweh and said, O Adonai, Yahweh, do not destroy your people and your inheritance, whom you have redeemed in your greatness, whom you have brought out of Mizraim with a strong hand. Remember your servants Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Do not look on the stubbornness of this people, or on their wickedness, or on their sin, lest the land from which you brought us should say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them to the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to kill them in the wilderness. And they are your people and your inheritance, whom you brought out by your great power and by your outstretched arm.
I think about verse 4. Do not think in your heart after Yah that he's cast out the people before you. Because of my righteousness, he's brought me into the promised land, but because of the wickedness of the nations, he's driving them out. So, we talk about this all the time, and I think, who really deserves his favor? Who of us really thinks we deserve to live into the millennial reign, whether as being a firstborn in the first resurrection I mean, we're all sinners, right? And I think he wants us to realize that we're all sinners. We still sin every day. I know I do, whether it's thought, word, even deed still, but the difference is we repent, we continue to repent and ask for his covering. And and I think he wants us still to have humility, right? And to realize, you know, there's a razor's edge, I think, between us and the world. Because I think about a lot of times, had he not called my family and I to understand this, what would be we be doing today, right? It's all him. It was nothing that was inherently in us, I think, that deserved this other than him setting us apart, lifting the veil, showing us his way. Left alone, I would probably be as bad or worse than a lot of people in the world. And I think verse 4, he wants us to remember that and know it's all him. And that's why hopefully we'll all have crowns to cast before him because it was all him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like this entire book, I think it is honestly written more for us today than even for them. Because he already knows everything, don't get me wrong, but everything here I tried to translate, okay, what is he telling us now? The culmination of the ages are on this generation. What does he want us to hear and see when we read this? So that struck me.
I kind of look at it too, being born into this time, I struggle to understand all the things that he has put forth. And it just makes me all the more strive, um, not just to understand, but to do what he wants. That's all I want to do is I just want to be obedient. Just help me to understand, he gives us the 10 commandments, but it does go a little bit deeper than that. And that's where you get all of those little, um, well, that's where the priests come in because then they come in and they help define what those 10 commandments are. So we will be going through all that again because it's been lost. Um, I'm not saying it's all been lost, but we are relearning again. We're relearning what
Right.
was lost to us.
Yeah. And Yahusha came and he fulfilled the law, meaning he raised it to a higher level, right? It's
Mhm.
not just the physical fulfillment of the commandments, it's the spiritual. And I think like what you're saying, Christina, is like, the physical is don't commit adultery, but the spiritual is don't even look on anyone like that, right? Outside of your spouse. So eh, to me, when Yahusha came, he raised the bar. And that bar is raised for his bride for sure. The not only the literal written law, but it's a spiritual fulfillment, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
he expects all of it. I'm with you.
We ready for chapter 10?
I think so.
All right. Did anybody else volunteer to read before I go for it? Okay. Chapter 10, verse 1. At that time, Yahuwah said to me, hew for yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first, and come up to me on the mountain, and you shall make yourself an ark of wood. Then I write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke, and you shall put them in the ark. So I made an ark of acacia wood, hewed 2 tablets of stone like the first, and went up the mountain with the 2 tablets in my hand. And he wrote on the tablets according to the first writing, the 10 words which Yahuwah had spoken to you in the mountain from the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. Then Yahuwah gave them to me, and I turned and came down from the mountain and put the tablets in the ark which I had made. And they are there, as Yahuwah commanded me. Now the children of Israel set out from the wells of Beni Yaakan to Mosera. Aaron died there, and he was buried there, and Eleazar his son became priest in his place. From there they set out to Gudgoda, and from Gudgoda to Yaphatha, a land of rivers of water. At that time Yahuwah separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, to stand before Yahuwah, to serve him, and to bless in his name to this day. Therefore, Levi has no portion nor inheritance with his brothers. Yahuwah is his inheritance, as Yahuwah your Elohim promised him. And I stayed in the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, and Yahuwah heard me at that time also, and Yahuwah chose not to destroy you. And Yahuwah said to me, arise, go before the people to set out, and let them go in and possess the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. And now, Yisrael, what is Yahuwah your Elohim asking of you, but to fear Yahuwah your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being, to guard the commands of Yahuwah and his laws which I command you today for your good? See, the heavens and the heaven of heavens belong to Yahuwah your Elohim, also the earth with all that is in it. Yahuwah delighted only in your fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, you above all peoples as it is today. And you shall circumcise the foreskin of your heart, and harden your neck no more. For Yahuwah your Elohim is Elohim of the mighty ones, and the master of masters, the great El, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality nor takes a bribe. He executes right ruling for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him food and a garment. And you shall love the stranger, for you are strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. Fear Yahuwah your Elohim, serve him, and cling to him, and swear by his name. He is your praise, and he is your Elohim, who has done for you these great and awesome deeds which your eyes have seen. Your fathers went down to Mitzrayim with 70 beings, and now Yahuwah your Elohim has made you as numerous as the stars of the heavens.
What jumps out at me here? Well, there's a lot of things, of course. Verse 12, what does he require of us? And then verse 16, all the back and forth and all the scriptures, even in Paul's day, right, over circumcision. And Moses told them what what true circumcision was all about, right? It's way back here in Deuteronomy. He's looking at the heart. I'm not saying don't circumcise. I think you absolutely do for the good of the child physically. But Yah's after the heart, right? He's after the circumcised heart that's yielded and obedient to him.
So Ray was asking, was the Levitical priesthood a blessing or a punishment? Well, I think it's a blessing because it was prophesied uh, when Yaakov um, had his children, he gave Levi as a tenth to Yahuwah. So they were going to become priests. It was already known whether it was through sin or not, but it was Yah's original intent for everybody to be a priest before him. But it didn't work out that way, so he separated Levi from the rest of the tribe to fulfill that prophecy of Levi. And that's where the Zadoks come. The Zadoks come from Levi,
Right.
and they
And
will
again,
be.
I was just going to say the 24 priestly order, right,
Mhm.
points to the 24 elders, right? So yeah, he knew it. I hear what you're saying, Ray. But I think ultimately, just like everything else, y'all knows ahead of time everything that's going to happen. And he even used the rebellion and the wickedness for his ultimate plan and ultimate good. So I would say ultimately it's for the good because we'll get into this in Ezekiel 40 and the priesthood that'll be here in the millennial reign, which ultimately points to the Melchizedek priesthood, which will be there forever. So,
Uh, So, okay, let me see if I understand this. I have to explain this to my children. So the Levitical priesthood was a blessing, because they were, instead of Yahweh being cut off from the people, they were kind of the liaisons, right, between the people and him. And while
absolutely.
they were carrying out punishment, without them, you'd have no access, right?
Right. Right. And because they had no land, they didn't have to spend their time tilling the fields, being working with the animals, right? Their job was keeping the time of Yah, the judgments of Yah, his laws, copying over his words and making sure that they came down through the ages to now so that the scriptures were preserved as it was to this day. Um, so you see what I'm meaning? Because they didn't have land or an inheritance, they didn't have normal jobs like all the rest of the other tribes. They could spend their time focusing on the things of Yah, which absolutely is a blessing to us to this day.
When you think about it, they were the only ones who actually lived in the cities, right? With the exception of the ones who flew to the city because they had accidentally or purposely murdered somebody. Um, but they did live in cities
Yeah,
to in order to perform their work. And I'm sure they had hired their brethren, to go out and work out in the vineyards and also the cattle and such that they got as tithing, which fed them, right? But but that is but they didn't own any of it. They just lived there. They lived in the cities. And that was what Yah prescribed for them in each of their lands.
yeah, and also so they had to keep and take care of the tabernacle,
Yep.
all the, sacrifices and all that, all the judging of the peoples, which carried on from the tabernacle to the temples. So they had full-time jobs. It was just serving Yah, his things, and teaching them. Their job was also to teach the people. So, they were the teachers. And praise Yah that the Zadoks were faithful They were faithful with his scriptures right down to the days of Yahusha. And I think it's pretty clear that John the Baptist had to be the last Zadok high priest. Otherwise, nobody else was in the position that they even could have baptized Yahusha, if you think about it. And even John the Baptist knew better. He's like, no, 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 please reverse. I want to be baptized by you. And Yahusha said, no, because I have to fulfill all righteousness. He is the path we follow. So he didn't need to do it, but he did it so we would have that path, perfect path to follow. But nobody had the so-called authority to do that except as Zadok high priest, right? Think about it. I think the fact that John the Baptist baptized Yahusha tells you exactly who that man was.
So I would say blessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
Overwhelming
we're all
blessing.
to work 6 days. What kind of work do you want to be doing? It's the high calling, it's a very high calling to be a priest.
Right. Absolutely.
So with the baptism of Yosha, that was the transferring back to the Melchizedek priesthood, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Yahusha has always been of the order of Melchizedek, and
Right.
he is the high priest and will be forevermore the high priest of the order of Melchizedek. But he was fulfilling, when it says follow me as Paul says that, follow me as I follow Yahusha. He gave us, he's the captain of our salvation. Everything he did was perfection for us to follow to enter his kingdom. But yeah, he's always been, to me, when Hebrews talks about in the Melchizedek that came with the bread and wine to Abraham, that to me that was Yahusha.
Um, I don't remember where it is. I think maybe it's in Galatians where it says he made the covenant of none effect, but the word covenant is inserted there, but it's basically my understanding is it was the Levitical priesthood was made of none effect because Yahusha, we were back under the order of Yahusha being the high priest of the Melchizedek order.
Yeah. And that's why we're not sacrificing right now.
Mhm.
So, um, any other points before Faith has volunteered to read verse 11 for us?
And I just want to say, according to the number of verses, we are 1/4 of the way through, having us end at 9 p.m.
I'm sorry, I had put a question in the chat. Was there any significance to the number 70 in verse 22? Your fathers went down into Mitzrayim with 70 persons.
Yeah, he's repeating what it says in Genesis that, yeah. So 7 is the number of perfection and 10 is the number of, is it judgment?
Is 10 covenant? Or isn't it 10 covenant?
Does anybody know what 10 is? 10 is the number of the laws and the commandments.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking for
Number,
that right
number,
now.
number 10 is divine order, a completed cycle, life and abundance. And then I have a
Okay.
reference of John 10:10.
Okay. So perfection times divine order.
Yep, I've got 10 as testimony, law, and responsibility. And that I may have just repeated Gina.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, other than that, it probably means more than that, Tracy, but I don't know right now. Okay. All right, Faith. Let's see. 11 has 32 verses, so if you don't mind, just read the whole thing.
Okay. Um, verse 1. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim and guard his charge, even his laws and his right rulings and his commands always. And you shall know today, for it is not your children who have known and who have not seen the discipline of Yahweh your Elohim, his greatness, his strong hand, and his outstretched arm, and his signs and his works which he had done in the midst of Mitzrayim, to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and to all his land, and that which he had done to the army of Mitzrayim, to their horses and their chariots, when he made the waters of the Sea of Reeds overflow them as they pursued you, and how Yahweh destroyed them to this day, and what he has done for you in the wilderness till you came to this place, and what he had done to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, son of Reuven, when the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, and their households, and their tents, and all the living creatures that were in their possession in the midst of all Yashraal. For yours are the eyes that saw all the great work of Yahuwah which he did, and you shall guard every command which I command you today, so that you are strong, and you shall go in and shall possess the land which you are passing over to possess, and to prolong your days in the land which Yahweh swore to give your fathers, to them and their descendants, a land flowing with milk and honey. For the land which you are going in to possess is not like the land of Mitzrayim, from which you have come, where you sowed your seed and watered it by foot as a vegetable garden. But the land which you are going over to possess is a land of hills and valleys, which drinks water from the rain of the heavens, a land which Yahweh your Elohim looks after. The eyes of Yahweh your Elohim are always on it, from the beginning of the year to the latter end of the year. And it shall be that if you diligently obey my commands, which I command you today, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to serve him with all your heart and with all your being, then I shall give you the rain for your land in its season, the early rain and the latter rain, and you shall gather in your grain and your new wine and your oil. And I shall give grass in your fields for your livestock, and you shall eat and be satisfied. Guard yourselves, lest your heart be deceived, and you turn aside and serve other mighty ones and bow down to them. Then the displeasure of Yahweh shall burn against you, and he shall shut up the Shemaim, and there shall be no rain, and the land not give its increase, and you shall perish quickly from the good land which Yahweh is giving you. And you shall lay up these words of mine in your heart and in your being, and you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, so that your days and the days of your children are increased on the land of which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give them, as the days of the heavens on the earth. For if you diligently guard all these commands which I command you to do it, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in all of his ways, and to cling to him, then Yahweh shall drive out all these nations before you, and you shall dispossess greater and stronger nations than you. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads is yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river of Parath, even to the western sea is your border. No man shall stand against you. Yahweh your Elohim shall put the dread of you and the fear of you upon all the land where you tread, as he has spoken to you. See, I am putting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, when you obey the commands of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you today, and the curse, if you do not obey the commands of Yahweh your Elohim, but turn aside from the way which I command you, to go after other mighty ones which you have not known. And it shall be, when Yahuwah your Elohim has brought you into the land which you go to possess, that you shall put the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Are they not beyond the Yarden, following the way of the sun westward? and the land of the Canaanites who dwell in the desert plain opposite of Gilgal, besides the terebinth trees of Moreh? For you are passing over the Jordan to go in to possess the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, and you shall possess it and dwell in it, and shall guard to do all the laws and the right rulings which I am putting before you today.
So just a couple things I saw real fast. 11:1, because we're in 11:1 today, and it's funny how chapter 11 verse 1 is basically a summary of this whole thing in one verse. I thought that
Yes.
was interesting. And then verse 6, of course, where Nathan or Dathan and Abiram rose up against Moses. They were the house of Reuben, and they're going up against Levi. It's just kind of like, really? Wow.
Mhm.
That was interesting. And then, of course, chapter 11, verse 12. And that was the one that hit us really hard with, Jerusalem being right here. The eyes of Yah are always on it from the beginning of the year to the very end. So it makes perfect sense that sunrise in Jerusalem starts the year,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Just that's where that came from.
Yeah, this was where I was very, very stubborn at the time. It made such sense to me that it was very egocentric of me to think like the sign is for everyone that's scattered, but these promises were given to a specific place, as people in a
Right.
specific land, you know? So this was the verse that did it for me when we are supposed to be observing the beginning of the year and the beginning of the date.
Yep. The other thing that got me is chapter 11, verse 18. And you shall lay up these words of mine in your heart and in your being, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. This is the actual doing of Yah's commands. This is not wrapping a phylactery around your arm, and this isn't putting a cube on your forehead.
A black cube. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the actual doing of Yah's commands, which is what he asks of us. And when we do it, we literally do bind it as a sign upon our hands because our hands are working righteousness when we do obedience to Father's commandments. And it's also ingrained within our minds when we actually do it and follow through.
Yep.
I was going to say verse 28. Well, verse 27, it's a blessing if you obey and a curse if you do not obey. So the scattering was a curse of not obeying, right? It makes me just, the magnitude of the miracle that anyone could come out of globe earth or, any of these deceptions that Satan has set for us to what's the word that I'm looking for? To like hide Israel and the time and how it functions and everything. They took all the land and wrapped it around a ball and it's spinning like it never ceases to amaze that he brought us out. He did it already. Like
Yeah.
that.
It's a miracle. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Coming out of the lies of the world. The
I
magicians of Egypt are the are the deceivers of the world to this day. NASA, you know, he,
Twisting all of our
yes.
words and taking away the truth of the definitions.
Yeah. All right. Y'all ready to move to chapter 12?
Yep. All right. Chapter 12, verse 1. And let's see, how long is that?
30, 32.
Okay. I'll just read it all.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the laws and the right rulings which you guard to do in the land which Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers is giving you to possess all the days that you live on the soil. Completely destroy all the places where the nations which you are dispossessing serve their mighty ones, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree. And you shall break down their slaughter places and smash their pillars and burn their asherim with fire. And you shall cut down the carved images of their mighty ones and shall destroy their name out of that place. Do not do so to Yahuwah your Elohim, but seek the place which Yahuwah your Elohim chooses out of all your tribes to put his name there for his dwelling place, and there you shall enter. And there you shall take your ascending offerings and your slaughters and your tithes and the contributions of your hand and your vowed offerings and your voluntary offerings and the firstling of your herd and of your flock. And there you shall eat before Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to, you and your households in which Yahuwah your Elohim has blessed you. Do not do as we are doing here today, each one doing whatever is right in his own eyes, because you have not yet entered the rest and the inheritance which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. But you shall pass over the Jordan, and shall dwell in the land which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you to inherit. And he shall give you rest from all your enemies round about, and you shall dwell in safety. And it shall be that unto the place which Yahuwah your Elohim chooses to make his name dwell there, there you are to bring all that I command you, your ascending offerings, and your slaughters, and your tithes, and the contributions of your hand, and all your choice offerings which you vow to Yahuwah. And you shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your sons and your daughters and your male servants and your female servants, and the Levite who is within your gates, since he has no portion nor inheritance with you. Guard yourself that you do not offer your ascending offerings in every place that you see, except in the place which Yahuwah chooses, in one of your tribes. There you are to offer your ascending offerings, and there you are to do all that I command you. Only whatever your being desires you shall slaughter and eat, according to the blessing of Yahuwah your Elohim, which he has given you within all your gates. The unclean and the clean do eat of it, the gazelle and the deer alike. Only the blood you do not eat, pour it on the earth like water. You are not allowed to eat within your gates the tithe of your grain, or of the new wine, or of your oil, or of the firstling of your herd or your flock, or any of your offerings which you vow, or of your voluntary offerings, or of the contribution of your hand. But eat them before Yahuwah your Elohim in the place which Yahuwah your Elohim chooses. You and your son and your daughter and your male servant and your female servant and the Levite who is within your gates. And you shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Elohim in all that you put your hands to. Guard yourself that you do not forsake the Levite as long as you live in your land. When Yahuwah your Elohim enlarges your border as he has promised you, and you say, "Let me eat meat," because you long to eat meat, you eat as much meat as your being desires. When the place where Yahuwah your Elohim chooses to put his name is too far from you, then you shall slaughter from your herd and from your flock which Yahuwah has given you, as I have commanded you, and you shall eat within your gates as much as your being desires. Only as the gazelle and the deer are eaten, so you are to eat of it. The unclean and the clean alike eat of it. Only be strong not to eat the blood, for the blood is the life. Do not eat the life with the meat. Do not eat it. You pour it on the earth like water. Do not eat it, that it might be well with you and your children after you, when you do what is right in the eyes of Yahuwah. Only the placed apart gifts which you have in your vowed offerings you are to take up and go to the place which Yahuwah chooses. And you shall make your ascending offerings, the meat and the blood, on the slaughter place of Yahuwah your Elohim. And the blood of your slaughterings is poured out on the slaughter place of Yahuwah your Elohim, and you eat the meat. Guard and obey all these words which I command you, that it might be well with you and your children after you forever, when you do what is good and right in the eyes of Yahuwah your Elohim. When Yahuwah your Elohim does cut off from before you the nations which you go to dispossess, and you dispossess them and dwell in their land, guard yourself that you are not ensnared to follow them. after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not inquire about their mighty ones, saying, how do these nations serve their mighty ones? And let me do so too. Do not do so to Yahuwah your Elohim, for every abomination which Yahuwah hates they have done to their mighty ones, for they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their mighty ones. All the words I'm commanding you, guard to do it. Do not add it nor take away from it. As I was reading this, I got to thinking about how in the millennial reign, when the populations grow to be too large to stay in Israel and they start moving out into other parts of the land in the world, I got to thinking that not everybody is going to be able to go to Jerusalem. And so when Father says um, that Yah is going to choose a place, I believe that he is going to do that outside of Jerusalem for the people to be able to go and take their slaughters. And there will be some Levites who I would say also venture outside to help with these communities on the outside of Jerusalem.
Christina, I was going to say the exact same thing. Because toward the end of the millennial reign, so he's going to eventually send Japheth back into Japheth, Ham back into Ham, and Shem will be spread. So only emissaries will be coming from all nations to Jerusalem, but the people left back, they're gonna attend as well. And I completely agree. Y'all will set up places all over the world that for where his name is, and he will send his Levites out to take care of those people. And of course, his bride, the kings and priests, will be there as well, overseeing, presiding over, and speaking the same words that are going to be spoken in Jerusalem. So the whole earth gets to come and celebrate during their time as the sun goes around the entire earth. I completely agree with you. And we know from Ezekiel that the sacrifices will come back
Yep.
and they will have to do it. And obviously, I do believe the population of the earth is going to blow away what we have now, whatever it is. I don't think we're being told the truth. But there's no way physically possible to get everybody into Jerusalem. Now, I do think people will be able to come and visit, right? You
Yeah.
know, so,
Yeah.
but not everybody, and he will. He'll do this. Here's his pattern. Here is how Yah operates, and he will be doing it. It will be brought fully back in the millennial reign. I agree.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Amen.
So,
Question. Oh, go ahead, Linda.
oh, please go ahead. Is that Carolyn?
Yeah. I was just about verse 22, the clean and unclean. Do you think that's reference Israelite, non-Israelite, or just
No,
No, that means
very
women.
physically? Yep.
Women that have had children, women in their impurity, people that have just buried people, you know, all those rules and laws are going to be coming back. He doesn't mean unclean as in, yeah, there he doesn't care about Gentile Israel. It's all about have you touched a dead body, then you are unclean until evening. Right.
Yep.
That's what he's speaking of, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it also makes me think about Pesach too, because the
Yeah,
clean and the unclean eat it alike. So it's a festival for everybody,
right. Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
punishment.
Right, right. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't mean you've done bad if you're unclean. It just means there was something you had to do, or maybe you were sick, had a discharge, right? Whatever, you know. It's just you're following the cleanliness laws and the clean and unclean laws is all he's saying there. And all that stuff's coming back. And we're finally going to do it right.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to share this. Like, I normally wouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it, and you guys can correct me if you don't agree with this. But because Mitzi, you said you were like 11:1, how interesting. Like, that's the summary of what we're talking about today. If you look at this chapter and like overlay it with month 12, 1290 on 1216 is only ye shall not eat of the blood, ye shall pour it upon the earth as water. I just thought that was interesting. Then, if you go up to verse 28, observe and hear all these words which I command thee, that it may go well with thee and with all the children after thee forever, when thou does that which is good and right in the sight of Yahweh thy Elohim. Just thinking, like, that's the last Sabbath of the 12th month, the 28th. Then, interestingly, verse 29, when thou thy Elohim shall cut off the nations from before thee, whether thou go and possess them, this here would represent the null day, and then 30, 31, and 32 would represent one, day one, two, and three of creation week, the last 3 days of month 12. Just interesting. I don't know if there's anything to it, guys. So I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. Wow, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then day 32 there, whatever I command you, be careful to observe it. That's the equinox
Yeah.
day right
Yes,
there.
it is.
And many people are not careful to observe where to put it, right?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty neat there, Linda.
I mean,
That's awesome.
I
That
don't.
is awesome.
What verse was that again?
So
32. Oh, I'm sorry. What we just said.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say the only dates that I was like looking at are 1290, which fall on 1216, which talks about don't eat blood. Then verse 28 would represent the 28th day of the 12th month, which is the 52nd Sabbath of the year. Then verse 29 would represent the null day. And then 30, 31, and 32 would really be 29, 30, and 31, the last 3 days of the year and the first 3 days of creation.
Oh, yes. Yep. I would agree with that. I think that's beautiful.
Praise, yeah.
Pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. And there's something here too in 12 verses 8 and 9. Do not do as we are doing here today. Each one doing whatever is right in his own eyes. That's exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're not, yeah.
Good catch. Yeah, I was thinking that as she read it too. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's chaos. He's saying when you come into the land, you best be doing or it will not go well with you. And we are looking at it like if you do not do what Yah says, you won't even enter the millennium.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like the Christian, I hate to, call them out, but just because that's what I came out of, they were doing whatever they thought was right in their eyes. They were not keeping covenant. They're doing
Right.
like being a good Christian,
Right.
keeping.
Well, and are they not doing verse 30? Um, they are following basically they're following the bells, right? And claiming it's Yah.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, you can't just do whatever the traditions were and think you are pleasing Yah. And
Mhm.
that's Christianity in a nutshell, in my opinion.
And that's why he states again at the end in 32, do not add to it nor take away from it.
Well, back to this verse 32, take heed to thyself that thou not be snared by following them. If we look that, what I'm suggesting is this would represent day one of creation week, and that was when the light was entered. And I argue that that is free will to choose to follow Yahusha or choose to follow the nations.
Right. who are
Yeah.
led by the false light, right? The fallen angels, the false light. And then here comes the false Messiah. He is also going to be a big time false light. So, y'all ready to move on to 13?
Yep.
Okay, I'll volunteer to read this one. It's kind of short. Okay. If there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or wonder comes to pass of which he spoke to you, saying, let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yah your Elohim is testing you to know whether you love the Elohim your father with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after the Elohim of your father and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice. You shall serve him and hold fast to him. But that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death because he has spoken in order to turn you away from Yah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of bondage, to entice you from the way in which the eternal your Elohim commanded you to walk. So you shall put away the evil from your midst. If your brother, the son of your mother, your son or your daughter, the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is as your own soul, secretly entices you, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, of the gods of the people which are all around you, near to you or far off from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth, you shall not consent to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him or conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from the Elohim, your Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. So all Israel shall hear and fear, and not again do such wickedness as this among you. If you hear someone in one of your cities, which Yah your Elohim gives you to dwell in, saying, corrupt men have gone out from among you, and entice the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, then you shall inquire, search out, and ask diligently. And if it is indeed true and certain that such an abomination was committed upon you, you shall surely strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying it, all that is in it, and its livestock with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all its plunder into the middle of the street, and completely burn with fire the city, all its plunder, for Yah your Elohim. It shall be a heap forever, it shall not be built again. So none of the accursed things shall remain in your hand, that Yah may turn from the fierceness of his anger and show you mercy, have compassion on you, and multiply you, just as he swore to your fathers. Because you have listened to the voice of Yah, your Elohim, to keep all his commandments, which I command you today, to do what is right in the eyes of Yah, your Elohim.
You
That's
know,
serious stuff there.
yeah, there is. And something struck me as you were reading about 1313. I mean, right, double the rebellion. Some men, sons of Belial, have gone out from your midst and led the inhabitants of their city astray. Well, this is what kind of came to my mind. And feel free to speak up and let me know if you disagree. But this kind of makes me think about uh, people who, they're curious about their environment and whatever, and they start, I don't know. I'm kind of looking at what's happened today. We've got we've got the pharmaceutical companies. Ooh, I'm going to make my own medicine. I'm going to sell it to people. Is that of Belial, right? What are they doing that's not right in the eyes of Yah? Because uh, that is an established thing within the city, right? You got people working for you doing all these things that they shouldn't be doing. And to me that it would I guess I'm having trouble explaining, but it's kind of like what we see today. We already have people who are going out and they're doing their own thing and they're making abominations, right? And they do this within their warehouses, testing animals and whatever that they make. And I just don't see that. I don't see that happening again in the millennial reign
Oh,
because
wow. No.
yeah,
Yeah, everything's corrupt now.
right.
Everything is, and that's another reason we know we're at the end. We can't even find anything clean to eat or breathe anymore or drink. We can't. We have to be at the end. But I'm with
Yeah.
you. None of that will go on. None of it.
Mm-mm.
None of it.
I'll tell you, if somebody got a little flea up their rear and decided, ooh, I'm going to go ahead and do this,
That will be nipped in the bud.
that will be, yeah, it'll all be destroyed. It won't be given a chance to flourish.
Yeah. And I'm not saying sin will be abolished. It won't, but sin that affects other people without their knowledge or understanding will immediately be snuffed out.
Yeah.
Yep. One thing I meant to say at the beginning, and I'm sorry, and this jogged my memory, a dreamer of dreams. And every time I say that dreamer of dreams, I think of I had a dream.
Oh,
You,
wow.
you,
I think
you, you know who I'm talking about.
yes.
I do, and I shared this with Linda and Christina before, but I'll just say right now, I do not think it's a coincidence that Martin Luther King Day is always very close to Moses's 11:1. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. And Riley was reminding me, and I'm thinking, why would anybody have a holiday in the middle of January? Almost every year it's a dreary, cold, cloudy day, right?
Mhm.
And then it hit me. He was born on January 15th, supposedly. Now, I think he was a full Freemason and he was sent to keep uh, African Americans or whatever kind of tied to the system, so to speak. And he died or was supposedly murdered on April 4th.
Oh, there you go.
Are
Hmm.
y'all hearing me on this?
Yeah.
That is this
Yeah.
year's, yes, that is this year's first
Yeah.
day of unleavened bread or when 1260 starts. He is a type of savior, but a false one again. Coincidence, I don't think there are any coincidences. Just wanted to share that with you guys. It's interesting that y'all's 1335 is right around Martin Luther King Day.
And then
Well,
you got that name Luther in it.
Yes. Yeah.
well, and what comes into my little brain is Joseph Smith from the Mormon Church because he was a dreamer of dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. False. Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Go right ahead, Faith.
So another part that earlier in the chapter, when it's talking about this is the people of Yahuwah saying, let's go and secretly like taking brother, sister, anybody in your family, or even in the body of Yahusha, like this past winter, a huge draw of people going, let's go back to do Xmas. Let's go back and do these
You're
things that
right.
you brought out of, and getting a lot of people, because that desire was still there. A lot of people went back to that because they hadn't fully like, I don't want this. It's not a part of Yahuwah, but let's go back and serve him. A lot of people did that this past winter.
You're right. Kingdom and Context. And I guess I subscribe to him on my phone and I keep having things. He is still talking about defending Christmas.
Wow.
Still. Yeah, you're right, Faith. I mean, it's happening. It is happening. And Satan is still doing his signs and wonders and then when I hear signs and wonders, I think of the false prophet that's coming. How
Yeah.
many people are going to fall for those signs and wonders? And you're absolutely right, Faith. The desire, and that's what y'all wants our hearts. Keeping Christmas literally disgusts me. I have no desire to go back to that. And I think, his true people have that feeling. But if you still would love to do that, you need to do some heavy repenting and soul searching, I would say.
Well,
Right?
and also they're not taking seriously what Yahusha said. You know, anyone who loves their brother, sister, mother, father more than me is not worthy to follow me, or
Yes.
they're not worthy.
Yes. And that is the draw of Christmas, keeping Christmas still, isn't it? Family.
Yes,
Family.
yes. Yep.
You have to walk away. You have to walk away. I'm not saying quit loving them, but yeah, the love for Yah, his truth and his ways have to be far greater than any kind of ties we have to even our families and people we love dearly. You're right.
So another thing that I wanted to ask, what is everybody's thoughts on this? For chapter 13, verse 13, I guess to 16, when you're looking at this of people who go out and they have turned, or what other nations do, you see that really big with Yahushua, with certain cities were burned, certain cities you could take. You saw that with King Saul, thrift stores, because a lot of the things that you go in, you're taking other people's possessions. Not everyone's possessions, I think, can be redeemed or that we're supposed to have. Because certain things you was like, no, burn it. Don't keep it. And we saw those who did. Everybody in that family got killed if you tried to hide it. Because thrift stores, we're not knowing the source of the person this came from or who they served.
Amen. That's a good point.
Oh man, I love thrift shopping, so I hate to hear that.
Well, I mean,
That's
I think you can pray over things too that you
I always do. Yeah.
you don't know. But I think Faith is talking about just because it's a hand-me-down. Well, like you just said, you found out a lot of stuff in your family is Freemasonry.
Mhm.
Well, do you take that jewelry? And I would be like, no. There's things we don't know, and then there's things we do, and y'all expects us to stay away from the things we do. Like I had cross earrings out of gold and sapphires. I threw them away. I didn't, my old Christmas decorations, I tossed them. I didn't sell them. I didn't give them away. They were trash, and all the things I could destroy, the glass ornaments were just destroyed.
I'm kind of thinking that the clothing might be different because if you're dressing the poor, um, you're giving away. I mean, I've given away used clothing that I didn't wear anymore that were
yeah,
in
but
good
you're of
condition.
Yahuwah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
difference.
well, that's true, but I
But you
also
didn't
have
give
to
away any Christmas t-shirts, did you, Christina?
no. Thank heavens I was never into that.
Or your
One of the
Halloween,
big,
your Christmas sweater or Halloween t-shirts. You know what I'm
right.
saying.
Yeah.
One of the big things that, and this is with, we're doing a deliverance study, is that you don't know what's attached to what.
That's true.
And I understand the power of Yahuwah and prayer. However, if we bring this in, I just, not that I don't trust him, but if it was a matter of just praying all the evil away, then would there really be any unclean foods? Would there really
Well,
be any abomination? You know what I
if
mean?
really thinking about this, where do you get your clothes from? I'm sure that there's stuff going on with all manufacturers and
And
brands.
there's symbols on everything we
Yeah,
wear.
that I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
we, sorry.
oh, sorry. It kind of reminds me of the Mormon underwear. Those get prayed over before people go out and they go buy them. You know, the ones with the compass and the ruler. Oh, yes.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
Never heard that before.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. Hey, Tracy, I saw your hand was up.
Hi, yeah, I was just going back to what you guys were talking about with Christmas, and I saw something interesting this year that said for those people who are honoring Christmas, or excuse me, for those people who are celebrating Christmas and saying it is honoring Elohim is like having an affair and saying it honors your spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
I
yeah.
thought that was a
Ouch.
pretty powerful point to drive
Yeah,
home.
that's good.
Yeah, because that's exactly what he calls it, spiritual adultery, you know. Yep.
Hey, Kimberly, I'm really sorry that I interrupted you. Did you want to say something?
I don't remember what it was. It wasn't that important,
Did it have to do with thrift purchases?
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even, I mean, I know that when we, all the clothes that we have and all that we pray over everything, um, one of the things, and this is, I don't know, you just have to watch for the attachments. And the thing is we are, nobody's an expert here. He's the expert. So we pray in his name, right? In Yoshua's name. But, what if you forget? You know what I mean? Or what if you get busy? Or what if you don't, whatever. So this is where I was just thinking about this last night. It's wild this is happening right now. That your garage sailing and your thrift store and all the different things. It's like just like our food with the what is it, the halal and the what is it?
Kosher.
Whatever it is. Kosher. All that. Is it's all like there's spells, witchcraft done over all the things. It's just like, don't want to like, embarrass myself or my neighbors by walking with no clothes on. I need something.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's you pray over everything and yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the time when we get to grow our own flax and make our own fabrics again. I see you laughing, Mitzi.
Can I
Yeah,
buy mine from yours, from you?
yeah, I'm that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna have to barter with you there, Christina.
I'll give you medicine for clothes.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Ray, you okay if you read chapter 14?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Y'all ready to move on? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, chapter 14. Ye are the children of Yahuwah, your Elohim. Ye shall not cut yourself, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For thou art an holy people unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, and Yahuwah hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations there that are upon the earth. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which ye shall eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the roebuck, and the fallow deer, and the wild goats, and the pygar, and the wild ox, and the chamois, and every beast that parteth the hoof and cleaveth the cleft unto 2 claws, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, these shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divideth the cloven hoof, and as the camel, and the hare, and the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof, therefore they are unclean unto you. And the swine, because it divideth the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. These ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall you eat. And whatsoever hath not fins and scales ye may not eat. It is unclean unto you. Of all the clean birds you shall eat, but these are they of which ye shall not eat: the eagle, and the ostrich, and the osprey, and the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the peacock, pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the cormorant, and the stark, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, and every creeping thing that flies is unclean unto you. They shall not be eaten. But of the clean fowls you may eat. You may not eat of anything that dieth of itself. Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is within thy gates, that he may eat it, or thou may sell it unto an alien. For thou art an holy people unto Yahuwah thy Elohim. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed that the field bringeth forth year by year, and thou shalt eat before Yahuwah thy Elohim in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of the corn, and of the wine, of thy oil, and thy firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahuwah thy Elohim always. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far for thee, which Yahuwah the Elohim shall choose to set his name there, when Yahuwah thy Elohim hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money into thy hand, and shall go unto the place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whosoever that soul desired, and thou shalt eat there before Yahuwah thy Elohim, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thy increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates. And the Levite, because he hath no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahuwah thy Elohim may bless thee in all the work of thy hand which thou doest.
Okay, Faith, got your hand up. Faith, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was just talking. Yeah, I for chapter 14, I just had a quick question because I know time is precious. But my husband and I, we don't have any tattoos. My children had never seen anybody with tattoos until very recently, and they were wondering why these people drew on themselves, and they didn't understand a tattoo. But the tattoo that they had was like Paleo Yahuwah's name, the person had all sorts of things on them. But on their right hand, they had the paleo name of Yahuwah, and they did not understand what it meant, which was really okay. But when I was trying to take them to scripture, something that was kind of like, I do see when you're not supposed to make markings on yourself, but it's always in reference to the dead. But we also never have felt led or inclined to get tattoos because we're the set apart place of Yahuwah, and however he say like however we embellish ourselves is not in our physical flesh, but by good fruits and things like that. But I'm trying to understand what is kind of like the context then of tattoos and those who do have them in regards to that.
Well, I had actually done a study on Leviticus 19:28,
Yeah.
which states that you're not allowed to cut yourself. Well, tattooing is a form of cutting yourself, and you literally draw blood when a tattoo is being done. And it's a form of blood oath, right? Because and even a vaccination is a no-no because it draws blood. And even though the blood is minuscule, um, you're still making unknown to most people, it is a blood covenant. And you don't want to be doing that. Um, I don't have any tattoos and I've never had any inclination to get a tattoo. But when I started seeing the ramification of the tattoos is people take on demonic forces, which is especially up today. And yeah, Gina says that the ink is also corrupted. So you don't want to be putting poisons into your body, which is another thing. Um, we're just told not to do it. And why
Yeah, you don't get tattoos for the dead nor any other reason. It's forbidden by Yah. It's just a protection. Um,
Mhm.
For
it's
those of
just
us that have them, repent
there
yeah,
you
and
go. It's just
yeah,
like
pray
any other
those,
sin,
yeah,
right?
yep.
right. My walking billboard for what not to do.
We all are, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I think Leviticus 19:28 is very clear on that. Just don't do it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And when I read this, again back to the Levites, and Christina, duh, this might be what you'd meant, but I do think it's clear from this that there will be Levites sprinkled out the whole world, and that'll be their home, right? All the Levites won't be in Jerusalem.
Nope, they will be spread out to basically divvy out the law, judgments, teach. That's their job. And
Yep,
they will have their Elohim behind them.
yep, I agree. And that's clear here that, they'll be running, each probably town and province will have their hierarchy of Levites right there. Yep.
But another thing
Interesting.
with, oh, I'm sorry. Another thing with our sacrifices, when you brought it, you also did eat of it. So wanting to be vegan, I would think, not trying to argue with that, but I'm thinking in that time you also have to partake because that is the law. So I don't think, well, I don't eat meat, it will be acceptable to say.
I agree with you. Yep.
Yeah, veganism, I think, is going to go away.
Yep.
Except for those right now that have been that have to watch what foods they eat with diabetes and that. How do you get
Right.
around that?
Meat is good for you. Now, granted, everything's perverted now, but um there, yeah, it's not going to be an issue.
Okay.
All the disease that is, I think a lot of the disease and illnesses we have are because of the perversion of the food, of the land, of the water, of the air. So all that stuff's going to be gone, right?
Yep.
So
It'll
I have
be
a
clean.
question. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I will not cry. I have tried every diet plan available, everything. I even went carnivore for about 4 days and I hated that. Um, but I have more success being a vegan. So am I sinning?
No,
No,
no, no.
I don't want to do anything to upset him.
Yeah, no, no, not at all. But I'm saying, in the millennium, all that kind of stuff that's causing you to have this, will be a thing of the past.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah,
you.
we'll be healed. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got my program to work. I could actually unmute and say something to you.
Wonderful. Yeah, we're not trying to say anybody who's not eating meat now because I'll be the first to admit it's all perverted now. So do whatever you need to do outside of eating unclean, of course, that works best for you. The sacrifices have not been brought back, right?
Mhm.
So don't worry about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just in a really bad time right now. And it doesn't matter what we eat, it's still gonna make us sick. And um even though we try as we might to keep ourselves clean through cleanses and whatnot, we're still putting it right back into our body because everything has been corrupted. Sometimes it just feels like a losing battle because of it, but
Yeah.
that's coming to an end soon.
Right.
So,
But and back to pray over it. Yah
yeah.
can cleanse anything. He honors our effort, right?
Yep.
Jess has her hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Jess.
Hi everyone. I'm on my phone and I don't really know how to work Zoom on my phone. My question was, going to the boiling of the kid in the mother's milk. We've had this discussion many times over the years, but since there are a lot of new people here, I'd like to know what some thoughts are on that.
Well, do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. That is cruelty. You just took the mother's baby and you killed it. And to add insult to injury, you go and you boil it in its nourishment, which is the milk. And in my humble opinion, I believe that that is um, it's an abominable thing to do. But there's also another part to this. Um, do not cook a young goat. Well, what does the goat represent? The goat represents deception. And we see this when Rebecca tells Yaakov to go get a goat and prepare it for his father, Isaac. So then he receives the blessing. We also see it when Joseph, just before he is sold, they take his coat after he's sold.
Yeah.
And yes, it's deception, right? And the mother's milk is representative of nourishment, right? For a young person or somebody who is new in the walk. You don't want to be feeding them any deception. You don't want to be adding deception to that nourishment, that nourishing milk as they are starting into the word. So those are the two ways I know how to explain that. But this has nothing to do with eating cheese and meat because in Genesis, Abraham serves the messengers meat and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he eats it. More adding to of the Jews.
Yes. So you can have that cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Not
And,
just,
and,
she's lactose
and only one kitchen.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. And does anyone else have anything on to add to that, or the fact that it's kind of listed, with the clean and unclean?
Well, Linda told me this one time. I'm like, wow, the milk of the kid. Right. So so we've heard it over and over, teach your children this way, Yah's way, the commands, the truth. How I taught my children before I knew the truth, Christmas, Easter, Sunday, right? That can kill your children, right? Are you not killing your children in your milk, right? What the
Oh,
parents are teaching incorrectly their children will ultimately lead to their demise, right? So be careful what you teach your children by word and deed, right? So
That
I
goes
thought
back.
I thought that was a good and explanation also.
I'm sorry, Mitzi. That does go back to what you just said to 12:31. So do not do so to Yahweh your Elohim, for every abomination which Yahuwah hates, they have done to their mighty ones, for they even burn their sons and their daughters in the fire to their mighty ones. It's not like people today, most people today are not sacrificing their children, but by their actions and what they're teaching their children falsehood, you're teaching them they will burn in Gehenna. And they're going to be going to the lake of fire because you're not instructing them in the ways and the orders of Yahuwah so that they may live.
Right. There you go.
So,
oh yeah, that's a
so it's
great
not a
point.
literal sacrifice, but it
Yeah.
really is. I
Yeah.
mean,
It leads to that if the children don't see it themselves and repent and come out, which is hard. It's so hard, right? But I'm giving credit to Linda because she's the one that told me that. And I'm like, wow, you know, don't kill your children by the milk or what you feed them, basically.
I look at my family and I think of, I did just exactly that, being ignorant of the truth
Hmm.
and learned it from my own mother.
Hmm.
I think we all did,
Yeah.
Christina. I don't think anyone started off knowing
exactly.
what we know now. And it's, whatever, something we have to deal with now.
We all
It's a
probably,
battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
How blessed are Carly and Bailey, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Break that cycle.
Yep.
Well,
Broke the cycle.
yeah, they're mothers.
Well, it took us a while.
A long while.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, or mother-in-law, I should say. And
Yeah, that's true.
But
I know, right?
we're the mother to Bailey. Praise yeah. Let's see.
And so